anything unnecessarily. And the fourth is a symptom sign, someone coughing. If you have a fever, cough, shortness of breath, or body aches, do not enter. So that's the first thing we've done at the start. The town hall is open, normal hours, 7:30 to 4, Monday through Thursday, and 7:30 to noon on Friday. After that, it's closed, as it is right now. As you go into the building, you'll find starting Friday, the transaction windows will be installed. They're on order, and they'll be installed Friday. These transaction windows are the same ones you see down at the court clerk office, and we've put out a shelf there that is low enough for handicap accessible. And big compliments go to Scott Weaver for creating those shelves and helping implement this, and to Lynn Day. It's his idea to do this. I thought it was exceptional because for a variety of different reasons. Number one, we've always talked in the past about the health and security for our employees. This actually ensures that, and now also because of the virus. Because if this virus comes back, we have put these things in place to protect our employees. All the doors are locked. We'll have one of these transaction windows for the code office. We also have one for the supervisor's office and one for the rec department. So all those offices will be locked. Debbie Munson's office, it's up to her discretion if she wants to do that or not. And she can keep them locked, and she can also open up when she wants to. One of the things we've also done is a survey we sent out to all the different departments that they go through, and they have filled these things out, and as Town of Lansing Reconstitution of Operations Plan, they fill out this survey. How is your office going to change from phase 1 to phase 2? And at the end of that survey, we have basically phase 1 specific directives, and also if we move to phase 2. The other thing is that Deb Munson has sent down a procedure for Lansing Town clerks, employees, and customers due to the COVID virus. She has done her own program for that. Also, we also have a list of procedures for all Town of Lansing employees due to the COVID virus. So we have a lot of literature there, and we've gone through the 50% essential. You have the chart in your packet that we've developed, and as more and more employees are available, we can tweak that. But right now, we have plenty of room there to bring people back if we have to. The highway department, I believe, is at full staff, and so is the rec department. The hires that we've done for the rec department for future, they are not being paid yet. They're not on board yet, but we have the authorization to do that. I think we also have an authorization tonight to hire more people as see fit. But right now, those people are not working, and so therefore they're not being paid. But we have the authorization to hire them in the future without another town board meeting. I think that pretty well covers it for right now. We have Zoom, thanks to Pat. We also have the cameras installed now, so we're moving forward on that. Hopefully everybody can hear us clearly on the microphones. And as we move forward in the next few weeks, we'll see if this does go to phase 2, phase 3, or phase 4. It's entirely up to the governor to decide, and also for the committee that they have for the Southern Tier region. So we'll see. So that's where we are right now. A lot of the business that I do is from home on the phone, or also I can do my Zoom meetings from phone also and put it on mute unless I need to speak. I've also done Zoom meetings like the one CJ and I did today for another situation, and I'm sure you all do Zoom meetings. So having said that, we pretty well have covered what the COVID-19 is for now for the supervisor's update. That may change, and we'll see where it goes, hopefully for the good. Moving on to reports sent in prior to the meeting. Item 5, we have the Lansing Community Library report. Andrea, do you want to comment on any of that?
I had a long talk with Susie, the librarian, and the reason they're going to wait until June 15th, even though they are phase 1, is they want all the libraries in the county to open at the same time, and not everybody is ready. She is working on getting the plexiglass protector just like everybody else, lots of hand sanitizer. She asked me to sew 12 fabric masks, which I did, and she's going to make sure any volunteer or staff person who comes in who doesn't have their own mask has a mask. And she's also going to take them home and wash them.
And I'll be happy to give you as many packets as you want of 5s.
Yeah.
to do that, so thank you.
So I think everything's going okay, especially since they made the decision to do their annual vote by mail with the Lansing Central School District. And we'll see how it goes. In the beginning, it's just curbside pickup, just like restaurants are doing. And this is books, and people can email or phone and say what books they want, and then
Nice.
there'll be curbside pickup. But there's not going to be any interlibrary loans for a while, because those have to be sanitized. So they're trying to figure that one out.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of labor intensive there.
That's what the state said. All the things have to be sanitized. They come from another library. Yeah.
So are they going to have barriers, plastic barriers, do you think, in there, like at the tables and things of that nature, will they have plastic barriers, or?
I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I just know there's one for the checkout.
Okay, because that's one thing that we're going to have in this room at that table back there, is that if people need to meet for the planning board, you know, to go over, like, for instance, a building permit, Lynn will meet with them, and we have a plastic shield ordered, so they'll separate that table. In the meantime, just to go to the code office for a minute, he sanitizes that table if they need to meet. I think he had to have one person meet this week there, so. Anyways, thank you.
Okay.
That takes care of the library. And now we have the Lansing Youth Services with Janice Johnson. That is also in your packet. Moving on.
That one's pretty interesting because Travis, the youth manager, has been going to lots of meetings to learn how to really just attend to the kids via Zoom more than anything else. But also, one thing he did that I thought was very good was the survey to see the needs of the families. Because, of course, the Lansing Youth Services is supposed to target kids who need these services. So they want to know what the family needs and then guide them.
Mhm.
So that if they need food, they know where to go. If they need mental health facility, they know where to go. So he's very involved, which I think is wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next one in your packet is the Tompkins County Legislator Mike Sigler's report.
Ed, I got a question on that one. I
Which
noticed that he says that the sales tax numbers were off by 27%. And I'm wondering why, when we got our sales tax numbers, they look like they were about average for the past 5 years.
I can address that now, and that's a good question, Joe. When you look at the sales tax, the first 3 months are actually December, January, and February, because they're always 1 month behind. So the analysis I gave you before was January, which is December, and then February, which is January, and then March, which is February. Jason Molino has estimated between 27 and 24% this one coming up in April, which will be actually March's. So March, and then of course the next one, which is May, is actually April. So, excuse me, May is actually April. So these next few months, we'll see what the estimates are as far as that goes, as they drop. And we anticipate a drop at least for the next 2 or 3 months. So probably next quarter, basically, which would be our April, May, and June numbers. And what they've done is they've taken the top 15 vectors, and they've analyzed what they did last year, and they estimate what they do this year as a estimate. And their optimistic estimate is 15%, and their harsh estimate is up to 30%. So we don't know where that range is, but we'll simply have to compensate where it is. Does that answer your question, I hope?
Yeah, yep,
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Once again, it's a moving target, and we simply don't know. I do know there are some businesses like I was talking to North Triphammer Wines and Spirits. Their business is up 25%, he told me. So I don't know what that means. I'm not going to go in a deep discussion about that, but there are some services that are probably doing okay. There are some that are probably doing better. And, of course, with Amazon and everything and all the other online shopping, I still believe we still get a piece of that pie. So it would be interesting to see, when everything's all said and done, how much this actually dips or not. So, having said that, we're moving on to number 8, which is Pat Terrell and the Park and Rec Department, and his report's there. Do you want to comment on anything else, Pat, while you're there?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. One of the things to please keep in mind that most of these programs that we've had to cancel, and once again, I put a big kudos to Pat and all the staff on Facebook last night, because they thought they were going to have camping for Memorial Day weekend. Now they said they're not going to, and consequently, only for Tompkins County, so it's closed, basically, our camping is. And same thing with our programs. Those are self-funded. In other words, they're usually funded by the charge that we have there. So they're not losing a revenue stream, so to speak, though we love to have those rec programs there. We simply don't know what social distancing will do in the future, if those programs are allowed to come back on schedule, let's say for June or July. And we simply don't know if a lot of the parents will be comfortable having their kids come back, even if it is allowed. Those are things we have to wait and see. And like I said on the Facebook page, I said these people, what they do is they assess, they adjust, and they act. And I haven't heard one complaint about it. They just do what they have to do. So we're very proud of them. So
I have a question for Pat on this subject. I noticed that we had to refund a lot of camping fees and stuff because obviously people couldn't follow through. Are we seeing a decline in the number of people who are reserving stuff later in the summer?
We have shut down our reservation system for now until we can actually know for sure that we're gonna open June 1st. And until that changes, you know, until we hear from the health department, have our permit in hand, we're gonna leave that down for now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
if there's any other questions?
I had one question.
Yes, ma'am?
I know that we weren't able to put in the porta potties because of sanitation concerns, and I'm wondering if what is being changed related to the restrooms for folks.
So I did find out we are able to put in porta-johns. We will be opening restrooms probably during the days, either later or probably later next week at this point. And we'll be sanitizing 4 times a day per our procedure policy that we have to send to the health department.
Okay. And is that for the restrooms too? Just so folks
Yes,
know, or?
yes, yep,
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
yep.
Okay, anything else before we move on to number 9? Okay, so number 9 is the highway superintendent report. There's no report from Cricket. He's been extremely busy. One of the good things about this as we move back into our procedures here, to keep in mind that when this coronavirus shutdown started in March, there was some good weather there, so he, as I said in the last meeting, he got in front of a lot of these projects. And as we kept these, our highway department on staff, we simply didn't know if we were going to need them for snow plowing or for spreading salt for the ice, whatever. And as you saw in May, we actually had a snowstorm, a slight one though. So consequently, he's on schedule as far as that goes. They're up to full speed. They still fit in with the 50% essentials for all the employees, which you do the calculation. So once again, Lansing's in very good shape as far as continuing to move forward and providing value to our residents. So once again, my compliments to Cricket and also to the deputy, Mike Mosley, for staying in front of this. And quite frankly, we actually couldn't bring back a lot of these highway department employees in March because we didn't have enough PPEs. That was another big thing. So now I think we have a surplus of those in case, God forbid, something like this happens again.
Question, Ed, we're going to take a sizable hit with sales tax. How are we going to cut back on our highway function because sales tax largely funds it?
Well, we've done the projections with the road improvements, for instance, and Cricket has come up with a contingency plan that if he needs to shave some of that down, he can. So we reviewed some of that already. And once again, we'll see where the sales tax goes. We may take a hit. We do have 8.4 months of sales tax between the B and the DB in our fund balance policy rather than 6 months, so we have a bit of a surplus there. Now, is that a sustainable plan? No, but if this virus is around for 3 years, that's going to be a problem. But I don't think it's going to be around for 3 years, and so consequently, we can make adjustments as we go. Once again, we'd love to give you details on this, but who knows, maybe you get a surge in June and July to make up for those, and next thing we're back on track. We are prepared to make adjustments. We don't have them written down in stone because we're going to basically try to do this as we go, and it basically is dictated by what the governor tells us to do and also what the sales tax does. So we have to be somewhat flexible. And I wish I could give you a specific answer on every situation, but right now, a lot of stuff is predicated on what we do from the revenue stream.
So at what point do we cut back on highway? What's your indicator that says we need to cut back, we need to start implementing Plan B?
Well, Plan B could be that we don't do as much paving this year. Plan B could be a lot of other things. I suspect the next few months, we're going to have a good idea when we set those projections. Now, please keep in mind, right now, we're about 7,500 in front of last year's projections at this time. Now, yes, we're going to be cut about 20,000 to 24,000, I believe, probably in April. So now we're at a deficit of 17,000. Once again, we'll have to play this by ear to see where it goes in the future. If we get a series of 3 to 4 months, that's something to have that discussion maybe in June or July, depending on when his paving season starts. So those depending on when they're scheduled, we'll have continuing discussions on those and adjust depending on what the sales tax is.
Thank you.
If nothing else, we'll go on to Director of Planning. CJ, as you can see, she has been extremely busy, even from home. And it was nice to see her in person today, even though she hasn't been, except to go to what? Take your dogs for a walk? You haven't been out of the house since March 16th?
March 11th, but yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not a total shut-in. I've left the house. Anyway, hi, everyone. I will spare you from reading my report verbatim, but if there was any specific questions about anything in the report, of course, I'm here to help. I believe there was a question right before the meeting about a particular applicant who was nominated, or a person who was nominated for the broadband committee. I just wanted to assure the board that any people that were suggested were sent. Anyone who was nominated was sent the fillable application, and I hope you noticed the new online application. Just want to give a shout out to Sue and Deputy Clerk Alana Congdon, who took our regular board application and made it a fillable online application that makes a PDF right away. Easy peasy. So really happy to save everyone the back and forth of printing things out, writing them, dropping them in the town hall. So we're trying to find a little efficiency. So hopefully that was illuminating as far as the broadband committee goes. So, and I know that's also on the agenda, so we can talk about it, of course, at that point. One thing I do want to bring to the board's attention tonight, and I don't know if screen sharing is allowed or available, but Monday night at the planning board, the planning board is currently reviewing a subdivision on Hillcrest Road that is attempting to subdivide into 2 parcels, a 7-acre parcel and an 18-acre parcel, both of which are undeveloped. They happen to be, the area proposed to be developed is at essentially the terminus of Forest Acres Drive. And I'm happy to send maps and show these if desired, but nevertheless, the very short of the long is that the planning board recommended that the town board consider selling a 165-foot piece of Forest Acres Drive to this applicant, subject to permissive referendum and conditioned on no further future subdivision of that 7-acre parcel A. And like I said, I'm happy to share the memo. I'll be sharing that with you. I just wanted to brief you that this would be coming your way for consideration, and that Guy may be able to speak more to this as well. But I did just want to bring that up just as a formal recommendation from the planning board will be coming once those minutes are complete, which are a verbatim transcript. So give Sue a few hours to get those done. But she did a fabulous job for the April minutes. Pretty amazing to be able to go back and see the video and all that. So anyway, so if there's questions about that, please let me know. I'll be sending around the memo and the formal recommendation from town board, or from planning board, excuse me. Just wanted to let you know that was on its way.
CJ, this is the one in which the planning board was trying to convince them to set a right-of-way for some future access road?
Yes, that's correct. So part of the memorandum that was prepared for the planning board examined 5 different options that were available. The planning board selected the last one, which was asking the town's engineers and the highway department to analyze the development patterns to see if there were some other viable connections other than the ones that had been illustrated in the 2018 comprehensive plan highway network map. So Don D and David T.G. Miller went back and ran some scenarios, presented those to the planning board, and the planning board passed a motion recommending this to the town board. They voted for one opposed, who had some concerns about the connection to Trip Hammer Road. We may refer this to County Highway as planning board requests to have their insight on this as well. But nevertheless, they did make a motion to recommend that the town board sell the applicant that particular piece of Forest Acres Drive. So this will all be outlined in a memo that hopefully will illuminate this for you.
Okay, so you'll explain what the access questions and how those got answered? Whether there's going to be another access road easement set in or something like that?
Yes, I will send what the planning board received in order to make that decision, yes. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Could you tell us who the owner is?
Pat, you?
CJ? Something stopped.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Could you
That's
tell
okay.
us
We
who
have
the
a little bit of
owner
a
is?
screen.
Little screen issue.
Maybe.
Hey,
They
there you
asked who the owner was.
go. Good job, Pat.
You back?
You're back.
CJ, did you hear what I said?
No, but I can hear you now.
Okay, can you tell us who the owner is of the land?
Oh, the property is, Hillcrest Road, tax parcel 44.-1-4.2, and the applicant is Edward Dormady on behalf of Helen Dormady, owner.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? If not, I'll continue with this with CJ and the planning. It's been brought to our attention, and let me just back up a minute and give you some background. When we did the ag, tried to do the ag zone for the ag committee, a number of different times it was brought up the concern of having a water line in the agriculture area or the RA zone, that it would increase sprawl and increase density in areas that they didn't want it to be, because as we all know, we like to have our density where the infrastructure is. So people on Emmons Road, Joe made us aware of this, are concerned about the growth in that area, especially because there's a water tank right there. And that, actually there's 2. And there's a water line right there, and that was originally what was going up to the power plant. So they're concerned in that area about sprawl and about uncontrolled growth, shall we say. So we've reached out a number of phone calls from different board members to different residents about having perhaps CJ start this process of perhaps from Ridge Road up to Davis Road on both sides of Emmons Road being a zone of maybe just residential, no commercial, no apartments, that type of thing, just to start the conversation. Nothing's written in stone. So if I misspeak, CJ, please correct me. But my understanding is that is something that will be discussed at the planning board working meeting in June. And we'll see where we go from there to start that discussion. Because our comp plan was done 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, and now we need to, and I know that the planning board is going through their survey for land use, but there are some of these situations where leaders now, in my opinion, especially if the residents seem to be in total harmony, that they want to protect their area as we move forward, because things change. So you want to, go ahead.
As you mentioned, I received, like a couple of days ago, a petition signed by most of the residents on Emmons Road in which they were very adamant about how they were concerned about the various kinds of commercial development that has happened and could potentially happen in their neighborhood. And, you know, as the planning board told them that event centers are allowed in their zone as of right, the planning board couldn't turn it down. These residents are coming to us now and very specifically saying, well, if they're allowed as of right and the neighborhood does not want them, we would like them to be removed from our neighborhood as an allowed use. And if you look at our zoning, event centers are allowed use in all of our zoning areas. There's no area that they're not allowed. And I know that's primarily what they're talking about is event centers, though I know they're concerned about other kinds of commercial as well. And their petition specifically mentioned several other kinds of commercial development. So in order to really meet the need that they're requesting, we would either have to create a zone that doesn't allow event centers or change one of our zones to a zone that doesn't allow event centers.
Well, I will respectfully disagree with you on this. Having talking to the residents, it's not the event center that really triggered all this to begin with. It was another situation they had up there, and that's why that petition has been rescinded, because they had inaccurate information on it, and Mrs. Van Every realizes that. She apologizes. That's why that petition has been rescinded. That means that a new petition will not be necessary. But there's other things in that area that they are concerned about, as far as like an Airbnb perhaps, other things that they have had problems with. And now that we have the truth come out, we find out that most of the concerns weren't about an event center coming in, it was the side effects of bad experiences from another situation. And what we're trying to do is to go forward and be proactive about this for the future, but if something's allowed in that area, like an event center, that's simply something that is allowed now. To your point though, Joe, the other areas where these things are allowed, they should, in my opinion, move forward now and try to limit those in those areas, because we've seen what happened. Now, who knows? This event center may be fine. They've had one event so far of 30 people. And once again, talking to the residents there, the real issue are other situations that have happened. And unfortunately, when this event center came up, in my opinion, they're already at a raw nerve. And so what we're trying to do is mitigate this as much as we can to the suggestions of the landowners. So that's why I think we're trying to pursue this in a respectful way. So having said that, hopefully at the, was it June 8th? I forget I think it's the second Monday in June, whenever that the planning board's working meeting is, that hopefully they'll start that process to at least have a constructive conversation, and maybe we can move the land use forward a little faster than what's before, not because we haven't been doing anything. I mean, just look at CJ's reports over the last year. They're extremely busy. But this seems to be something that we need to address sooner than later.
Okay, so they're going to be invited to be a part of that planning board initial discussion so that everybody can be on the same page?
What I would recommend, and this is through CJ's guidance, is we start that discussion. I do have communications with John Howell and also with Tricia Van Every, that those are the two that are going to be the contact people. They will be able to interact, absolutely. This thing going forward with the process, this will be back and forth to say, okay, residents of Emmons Road, what do you want? Do you want this, this, or this? Do you want to B1? Do you want B2? Do you want to form a different zone entirely? What do you want in and what don't you want in? But I think now we'll have that serious discussion now, and absolutely they will be invited. How? Hopefully we'll have an open meeting by then. We don't know. But they'll be invited to interact, absolutely.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad to see that this is moving forward, because I know it's been a real hot spot in that neighborhood, and if we can resolve it, that would be a wonderful thing.
Well, to be quite frank with you, I found out about this Monday.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've known that they've been upset about the event center and other things for a while.
But that wasn't, once again, let's move on, because we can disagree with this. Let's move on then.
Okay.
Engineers report, there's nothing, go ahead,
hold on.
I'm sorry?
I just wanted just to mention that, yes, the planning board has their working meetings on the second Monday, and those are definitely open to the public. I want to mention that members of the public are welcome to attend, and we've tried to make that easier by having the broadcasts via the YouTube channel. And also just mention that the planning board is currently working on a land use ordinance and regulations audit. They've been essentially helping me, learn more about what works about the zoning and what doesn't. And those submittals can be found on the website under planning board submittals and current submittals as the subfolder. And so as the town board desires, I'm happy to connect with the petitioners. And I'd like, perhaps Guy might speak to this more, but generally speaking, with a petition about zoning, it's usually in protest to a proposed change by the town. So I didn't necessarily see guidance on what exactly the community is looking for, but I'm excited to have them at the working meetings. I think that will really help, resolve those issues. So just wanted to mention that I'm happy to reach out to them if the desire is for me to respond directly on behalf of the town board.
Yes.
One of the things I might add to this, CJ, is that the conversations, we can use John Howell's email, he gave me permission to do that, to communicate well before the planning board's working meeting, to start these conversations now. So in case we get some feedback from the residents of what they would like in their zone, what they wouldn't like in their zone, what they're okay with, and let them think about this. But let's start the process. Like I said, I just got off the phone with them about 3 hours ago. We could start the process now with that communication back and forth to each other between Tricia Van Every and also John Howell and the planning board and yourself as we move forward.
Yep.
Did we lose you?
I think we lost the Zoom.
Meeting's over.
Okay, I move.
You don't have to.
What happened?
Did I talk too much? I sucked the air out of it? Is that
Yes.
what it was?
Yes, you did.
All of a sudden, the welfare is starting to curl here. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Houston,
You wanna go give me the town credit card?
is that what you need?
Yeah,
I don't know where it is.
we're out of our free time.
It's in the vault.
What does he need?
It's town credit card.
Yeah, is it in your vault or my vault?
Your vault.
Oh, Lord.
Let me see if I can.
You want me to get my credit card?
Not unless you wanna,
That was only 40 minutes, Pat.
yeah, they shut us down early.
Oh.
Once we didn't have much to say, just thought, oh, he's fine. He's, oh, this is worthless.
It's what I've wanted to do for a long time.
Trying to get you.
Very good.